I'm Eleni Jokos, and this is Connecting Africa, the show in which we hear from the continent's finest business minds. Now, regular viewers will know I'm usually in the state-of-the-art studio, but not this month. For a change of scene, I've come to the Seychelles. It is a stunning archipelago made up of 115 islands in the Indian Ocean. Now, it's known for its majestic beaches, its natural beauty, but that's not the story I'm here to tell. I'll be looking to the country's blue economy and also what it means for the Seychelles to be part of the common markets for Eastern and Southern Africa. So there's plenty to learn and look forward to. So let's get on with it. Or as the locals would say, anu ale. When you live on an island, the ocean can be something of an obsession. It's where life happens for many people. It's a source of income. The term blue economy was born from this. It's a concept where marine resources are used sustainably while also promoting economic growth. I've come to meet the man who can help me make sense of it all. Many countries that have resources, it's either oil or it's gold, and there's so many other commodities, but your major commodity is that.
It's the ocean as well.
It is the ocean.
It is the ocean.
That
yes,
is your oil.
Yeah.
But you have to preserve it.
Of course we do.
So tell me about the blue economy and what you do.
Okay, the blue economy is all about the sustainable use or the sustainable development of the ocean. This is how it was introduced in the country as a pathway towards the creation of jobs through the use of the ocean, the improvement of livelihood of our community through the use of the ocean, in high consideration given to towards the preservation and conservation of the ocean. So this is what the blue economy it is for us. It is a combination or an integration of the aspect of social development, economic development, as well as preservation of the ocean.
What is the biggest challenge, would you say, in what you do, in making sure that it is sustainable?
It has to do with capacity. You know, we are a very small country, and we are a developing country, and our workforce is, I would say, let's use the word new, and we are evolving and we are still developing. We do not have all the specialized skills that we require to push forward certain specific development in the country.
When you look at how successful Seychelles has been in terms of tapping into the blue economy, what would you say the biggest lesson is for other countries wanting to develop their blue economy?
You need to get your community involved in this development, and they are one of the main beneficiaries of this development. Once they understand the blue economy, they understand the contribution of the blue economy in their life, the contribution of the ocean in their life. This is when they will participate actively in this development. Our country, Seychelles, was discovered through maritime navigation, through maritime transport, and one of our first economic revenue or source of revenue was through maritime trade. Starting from our descendants, from our historical development, the sustainable use or the use of the ocean has always been a crucial part of our development.
One important facet of the blue economy is aquaculture, a government initiative to boost production of marine organisms to meet the growing demand. So how are you going to, create the balance in terms of what you're seeing in terms of wild fish availability, farming, plus making sure that it's sustainable across the board as you increase your numbers?
Well, I've worked at the Seychelles Fishing Authority for 15 years, and I've been at countless community meetings with stakeholders, fishermen, and people in the community, and we've actually observed that there's a lot of fish species that are being heavily fished, and you see the size. There's a dwindling number of fish being landed, and also the size of those fish have actually reduced quite significantly.
What are your aims right now as you organize?
We are aiming for the whole entire sector in Seychelles to go up to a production capacity of 60,000 tonnes within the next 20 to 30 years.
And that's around a $400 million revenue stream, right?
Yes,
about
yes.
60,000 tonnes of fish.
Yes, that's quite a lot of.
That's a big revenue earner.
Yeah, it's a big target as well for the country. But I think we've been really trying to align ourselves.
So how are you speaking to then community leaders and community members and the fishermen? It must be difficult for them to face this new reality.
most of the management plans that the authority, the Seychelles Fishing Authority, putting in place right now, we've been trying to get the inputs from the community themselves, and also combining this with scientific evidence of what is happening to our fisheries. At first, when we introduced aquaculture as a new alternative, it wasn't really welcome because the culture in Seychelles is go out with to fish. So I can see them realizing this issue, and now they're really accepting aquaculture as an alternative to provide fish in Seychelles.
You know, Seychelles is part of COMESA. Is this part of your sort of, you know, thinking that you want to expand more into the African continent and capitalize on the trade body that Seychelles is part of?
Yes, definitely. On the fishery side, I know with some bycatch of fish that are unwanted, there's a lot of discussion about how to maybe trade with other countries. With regards to farmed fish, obviously, we are also looking for other markets on the continent. I know South Africa has got a very good fresh fish market demand, especially in niche market like sushi, from sea urchin farming. So you do get quite a lot. Because Seychelles is aiming for niche market, we do have certain countries in Africa that's actually coming up as a very good destination for export of these products. Seychelles doesn't have a lot of land for agriculture, so that's why we're trying to put a lot of emphasis on our ocean and trying to see what we can farm. So there might be some markets for some inputs for other product development in other countries in Africa as well.
Welcome back, I'm Eleni Jalkos. I'm in the Western Indian Ocean in the Seychelles, made up of a series of small islands with a population of 100,000. Now, Kenya is also part of East Africa with a population of 50 million people. Its bustling cities seem a world apart. We went to Nairobi to visit Crown Paints, a company that produces 3 million litres of paint every month. It has operations in Rwanda, Uganda and Tanzania, making it a significant player in this part of the world. Crown Paints has been doing business for 65 years. A company that reports revenues in the millions of dollars says it employs around 1,000 people. Making the most of their geographical setting is key for the business.
Kenya is a big hub, all manufacturing, all quality products and higher technology team are sitting here. So many technical products we produce here and we send it to other our East African countries, so we don't pay any duty. So I think it's a great advantage to free movement of goods due to COMESA in East Africa.
And he sees that having a presence in other East African countries will have long-term benefits.
I think for any company, expansion is required, and we know that for growth is you have to expand. And the East Africa has been basic, platform to any East African company to grow. They need to have the wings in these 3 countries, because from Uganda and particularly Uganda, you can cover South Sudan and Congo, because that's one of the biggest export markets. So there's a reason that what we have opened our manufacturing in Uganda to cater other export market like Sudan and Congo.
Crown Paints describes itself as the most innovative paint company in East Africa. They proudly point to their computerized tinting machines, which they say allow them to dispense thousands of different shades in minutes. They also say that they have an extensive dealer network in urban and rural areas, which allows them to work with both the construction and retail sector.
The competitive advantage which we have, most important, that is a #1 quality brand. I mean, undisputed #1 quality brand. Our customer services, our innovations, new product launch. Then we care for environment, we care for society. We do a lot of CSR activities. So brand cannot just be delivered only for a good quality brand, because there are multi dimensions are there for the brand. So I think we work out on across all the brand dynamics, and that's the reason the brands are always been liked by the Kenyans. We deliver what they expect. So I think we proudly say it's value for money.
But alongside what he thinks are the attributes that help his company stand out, he is always quick to acknowledge the geographical advantages that come with having a business located where Crown Paints started.
Ultimately, Kenya is very competitive. You have a great advantage. You have great labor advantage. You have and working culture in Kenya is quite environmental, business friendly. So, of course, when you manufacture more, your cost of production goes down, and you can able to compete. Plus, you have access to good port services here, people, skill. I think most important thing of Kenya's advantage is skilled people here. They are very smart, they know what they are doing, they can work very smartly, they can provide solutions.
But he believes that to succeed long term, the future involves expansion into new territories.
We went to the Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda. The reason is that it's very simple, because Kenya, of course, we have a strong market share, we have establishment, we have set customers. So the growth prospect will be always sometime challenge. Suppose you want to grow by more than 20–25%. So it will be always challenge, because the satisfied customers, they already have capacity, they build the capacity, they cannot like go by 40%. So to have a growth, we need to expand to other countries to meet our visions, our target, you know.
A very impressive operation. Now, we visited 2 countries in East Africa, separated by a massive stretch of ocean. Vastly different, but both united in their vision for a more prosperous continent. Hi, I'm Eleni Jokas, and this is Connecting Africa. I'm in the Seychelles, which is one of 21 countries that are part of a common market for Eastern and Southern Africa, also known as COMESA. Now, in some African schools, it is part of the curriculum to be able to name all 21 countries. I'm not going to mention whether I was a model student, but before traveling here, I interviewed the organization's Secretary General, and before we started, I made sure I knew all the countries and in alphabetical order. They are Burundi, Comoros, Democratic Republic of Congo, Djibouti, Egypt, Eritrea, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Kenya, Libya, Madagascar, Malawi, Mauritius, Rwanda, Seychelles, Somalia, Sudan, Tunisia, Uganda, Zambia, Zimbabwe. Well, I think I got them all, and joining me now from Zambia is COMESA Secretary General Chilese Kapwepe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
If we could just start off by talking about COMESA's history and its mission, what it means for connecting the continent.
COMESA is the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, which is a regional economic community. It has 21 member states across mostly the eastern and southern part of Africa, but we'll also go all the way up to the north with Tunisia as a member, and all the way down to the south with Eswatini as a member, so quite a wide footprint across the continent. Apart from the 21 members, the actual population is over 600 million people, so it's a huge market. The main objective is for us to support our member states to transform their economies anchored on trade, to ensure that there's sustainable economic development, to uplift the living standards of our citizens.
What about the Continental Free Trade Agreement? It is exciting. It is, blanket approach to the whole continent. It's going to cause standardization rules and, of course, harmonization. Have you seen anything change since the AFCFTA went live a few years ago?
Yes, I think there has been the progress. Obviously, it's a huge undertaking, bringing together more than 50 member states to harmonize their regulations, to have common instruments in trade. This is why we, as a regional economic community, are identified as a building block towards supporting the quick implementation of the Continental Free Trade Area, simply because we've been in the business for a long time. We have established a number of instruments in terms of trade facilitation, which can help the Continental Free Trade Area come to life.
In terms of the private sector, how important is it to get multinationals involved? And are you thinking about small to medium-sized enterprises and the role that those companies are going to play in terms of increasing and facilitating trade?
We tailor programs and instruments specifically for SMEs. For example, we have a simplified trade regime, which is a very simplified process of clearing goods for small-scale traders who, majority are women actually, about 70% of those are women. They just want to cross the border and get their goods and come back and sell. So we have a simplified trade regime.
Secretary General, you mentioned something so important for me. It's the informal trading that perhaps we haven't really tapped into fully. And I'm glad you're talking about the woman with a child on her back that is crossing the border and is so plugged into the economy, but we need to do her justice, right?
For those women, it's more than just trade. It's a way of life. It's a way of supporting their families. We come in to facilitate that process, to make it more easier for them to do that which they have to do. Of course, yes, we've engaged with the Cross-Border Traders Association, and we've seen that this structured approach really does help inform what is required. For example, we had gender-segregated statistics, which actually informed us that there are more women as cross-border traders.
Secretary General, if I think back to when I started my career and, you know, we spoke about the trading blocks within Africa and just what challenges they experienced, and importantly, just how little headway we made on trade. And it's pretty evident in the numbers. Why do you think it's taken so long to get this kind of cohesion, to finally come together and find a way forward?
For me, the frameworks are in place. You have a free trade area in COMESA, you have a continental level, you remove the tariffs. But at the end of the day, you are talking about trade in products. So we also have to have that emphasis on capacity building or capacitating the productive capacity of our member states and sequence properly what it is we want to achieve and have a very clear narrative of how we move from having a very nice framework that is supporting increased trade, but it's not happening.
In terms of COMESA and trading blocks, also fostering peace and stability, I know that if you have economic ties and it benefits all, that also helps foster a more sustainable and peaceful environment. How do you view this?
We do have actually a unit dedicated to governance, peace and security. And we work very closely with the African Union. We also have an early warning system which talks to looking at areas where we have potential conflict, how we can come in before it actually escalates into something much more devastating or serious. Conflict resolution, managing any potential conflicts, so that we can support a peaceful environment for trade to take place.
What a great chat, and I suggest that next time we meet here in the Seychelles, and she seemed to like that idea. Well, coming up next, we head to COMESA member Uganda, and we visit the headquarters of one of East Africa's largest steel companies. Welcome back. Now in the show we have been discussing the trade agreements that link many countries in the east and the south of the continent. I'm in one of the COMESA countries, the Seychelles. But for our last story, we take you to Uganda and to the headquarters of one of East Africa's largest steel companies. Tembo Steel started in 2001, specializing in all things steel related. They say their ambition is to utilize technology to help the company become one of the most innovative operators on the continent. Sanjay Awasthi is the chairman and managing director. He believes that having a base in Uganda comes with many advantages.
Uganda is a great location and it offers a huge amount of opportunities in terms of business and people and connectivity into the entire region. Because topographically wise, if you see, the Uganda is having a beautiful location because it is having in its periphery Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, Tanzania, Sudan, all connected from Uganda. So this is the best place where you can connect all those places from Uganda. And if you start real manufacturing here, right here in Uganda, it is always easy to transport your goods back to all the neighboring countries.
Since it started, the company has reported rapid growth. The success, says Awasthi, is down to the product.
Steel is the backbone of modern civilization. because it falls under the core sector industry of any country, developing or developed. You have to have steel and cement in order to build a modern society.
Awasti is clearly proud of what he has created and, given the opportunity, is eager to embark on a tour of the facilities.
We are having 6 furnaces here. Varying capacity, it is around 18 tons, 15 tons and some are 10 tons as well. So the liquid molten metal capacity per batch is 50 tons per hour here in Iganga. And then we are having a converter, world first converter, were originated here in Tembo, Iganga. Because there was no user in whole of African continent of cast iron. That is where we started thinking that let us use this material and let us have a device which can convert cast iron into liquid low carbon steel. I would say that we are having facility close to 500,000 tons. So crude steel is 500,000 tons. We are having a block mill that is 350,000 tons per annum capacity. Then we are having a TMT mill which is close to 400,000 tons of TMT. So the 2 products are coming out from here. One is TMT, the other one is wire rod. Wire rod starting from 5.5 millimeter up to 16 millimeter.
Tembo exports to several countries in East Africa, including Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi and the DRC. But he acknowledges that the logistics of trading with neighboring countries can be challenging.
We are in the steel business and steel is a bulk commodity. So transport plays a major factor. It is around 10 to 12% in some cases where the value is lower. So it is very, very difficult to ship your material from Uganda to Kenya. So the topography is the main reason, because our land is hill and valleys terrain where the transportation cost is higher. So there are some challenges, but then this railway meter gauge and broad gauge is also coming, which is going to help.
But he also believes that being part of a larger community is always going to be good for business.
When you talk for East African community, we are talking about 200+ million people. So certainly it's an advantage for the whole community to connect in, because 200 million people will consume steel, they will consume cement, they will consume the commodity. So it is, if the economy is interlinked, it is always beneficial.
Well, sadly, we've come to the end of the show. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of Connecting Africa. Be sure to take a look at our website to see the other stories that we cover on the program. But it's now time for me to finally take my shoes off and enjoy the beach from Yeleni Jokos in the Seychelles. Be sure to stay connected.